faith stories.
My now wife Chelsea was like, "Hey, you're coming to church with me on Sunday," and I was like, "All right, I've been looking at the Bible. Let's do this."
Fishing memories.
When I first started, I was just fish, focus on the fish, focus on the fish. And I see the kid catching fish, I'm like, good job, perfect, awesome. And then he goes up there and I'm like, we're catching slot snook. And this kid's up here going, oh, the breeze. I'm like, this is exactly what it's about.
Meaningful conversations.
You have to stay in the Word. You have to have a good support system. You have to know what the end goal is. You have to know who God is.
Positivity. This is the Faith and Fishing Podcast. With your hosts, Cam Steele.
If your identity is you're an angler, whenever you're not doing well on the water, that's whenever you can't be content.
And Robert Randolph.
And his timing is perfect. We might not always agree with it, and we might not always understand it at the moment.
Bring you interviews with some amazing guests from the fishing community and discuss all things to do with fishing and their faith. Welcome to the family.
Hey y'all, welcome back to the Faith and Fishing Podcast. I'm Cam. And Robert is muted. So if he was
Let's try that again. How about that?
I'm Cam.
Hey, and I'm Robert.
Oh man, Robert, how's it going, man?
It's going pretty good. Not too bad. Been kind of a crazy week, but they all have been lately, so just kind of falls in line. What about you?
About the same. It hasn't been quite that crazy of a week. We had a very busy weekend, but had floods coming from the washing machine and all that good stuff. So and birthday parties that we had to attend an hour away, and just typical, life. But I will say this, no fishing was done since our last episode. So I'm pretty used to saying that now. But yeah. So Robert, did you have any kind of housekeeping or announcements or anything like that you needed to get to this week?
Nope, I don't think so. I'm good to go.
All right. About the only thing that I wanted to say was, we're always very thankful of all of the sponsors that help out this show, and I also wanted to say thank you to you, the listener. So like I've said before, whether this is the first time you've ever listened or whether you've listened to every episode, means a lot that you're listening. So I always want to say thank you to you, and shout out to those of you who are watching on YouTube. YouTube was never even part of the intention of this show. There were just a few people that said, hey, could you do it on YouTube so that I can watch, because I don't listen to podcasts. And apparently there's at least a couple of you out there that will sit and watch an hour and a half podcast on YouTube. So whoever you are, thank you so much. And it means a lot that you're out there. But yeah, I don't really have anything in terms of like announcements or anything like that. It has been crazy, and it's one of those times of year where it always seems like it picks up a lot in terms of busyness, and it's always frustrating because it's like, man, this is some of the best fishing of the year, and it's hard to not be out there on the water, but it could be a lot worse. So our prayers continue to go out to all of those who got hit real hard with Helene and Milton, and praying for all of those, all the restoration efforts that are still going on with all of that. So just wanted to let you know, if you're listening from one of those areas, we are praying for you, and our hearts are with you. So Robert, do you have anything else before we get further into it?
Good to go, man.
Awesome. Well, let's thank a couple sponsors, and then we'll dive into it. Omnia Fishing is an online fishing retail store that has everything you need for your next outing. Whether you need tackle, rods, reels, fishing reports and tips, or even weather reports and topographical maps. With their ambassador program, you have the opportunity to buy baits and gear proven to work in your fishing spots, or submit your own fishing reports and get Omnia credit when someone buys something from your report. Upgrade your membership to Premium for free shipping and a percentage of your purchases back, or upgrade to Premium Pro to get Navionics, weather, and more on their already awesome app. Go to omniafishing.com and use promo code FNF10 for 10% off your purchase. Or if it's your first time making a purchase from Omnia, use promo code FNF15 for 15% off instead.
Get Outdoors Pedal and Paddle is one of the largest canoe, kayak, and cycling retailers in the Southeast, with a huge selection of kayaks, canoes, bikes, and all the accessories needed to experience paddling and cycling comfortably and safely. Get Outdoors helps to expand and educate the paddling community through their free demos held on local lakes in the Greensboro, North Carolina area, and through in-store clinics and on the water courses and demos, and will even get your new boat rigged up for kayak fishing for you. Stop by the shop in Greensboro, North Carolina, or visit them online at shopgetoutdoors.com to be wowed by their selection.
All right, so this week, well, I guess I should say a few weeks ago, I made a decision and a promise that we were going to be doing our best to bring you more multi-species type anglers, and not solely have bass fishing tournament anglers, which, I mean, there's absolutely nothing wrong with bass fishing tournament anglers. We love hearing their stories. We love talking bass fishing with them, but we kind of got a little one-sided there. So there is our guest this week brings a lot to the table in terms of fishing. She is out there catching, I believe I've seen her catching catfish and stripers and bass and all kinds of stuff from all different kinds of platforms, be it kayaking or standing on the bank, or she's going to add to it whatever I am missing, because I know there's more than that. But we have, let me make sure that I get this correct. We have Dakota Laren on the podcast. Dakota, welcome to the show.
Hi, how's it going? My name's Dakota.
Absolutely. So to go ahead and get us started, go ahead and introduce who Dakota Laren is to our listeners.
Well, you know, I'm just a country girl that likes to fish. I fish for anything, really. I just say, if it's biting my line, then I'll take the time. My page is Heart of Exploring. I explore, I fish. I just really like to, you know, travel and just live life.
Absolutely. So before the show, we were talking, and you kind of mentioned that you were a little shy, and that's okay, because you know, I share all the time. I used to be introduced as my daddy's son Cameron, who doesn't talk to people, but as someone who is on the shyer side, what made you decide to start recording your adventures and sharing those with the world?
I don't know. I just really wanted to be able to take this to a place that I could use my fishing as like a ministry, and the only way I could do it is by pushing myself and videoing. I really had, like, when I first started, even now, sometimes I'll just go blank and I'll just start laughing, because I just it's weird talking to yourself, you know.
Oh, absolutely. And that does not get get any easier without practice. You just have to get out and do it and force yourself to do it. And eventually you get used to it a little bit, but it's never, for someone like me, it's never like second nature. It's always something that it's like, there's always going to be an or an awkward pause or something.
Or sometimes I'll go completely blank. This happens in front of people sometimes. I'm like, oh no, I need to walk away.
Absolutely. So let's kind of get started by getting your fishing background. What was it that got you into fishing in the first place?
Oh, well, what got me fishing is my dad. We grew up fishing, me and my sister and my dad. We fished together, and my sister, she didn't really like it as much as me. But once I got old enough to kind of, do it on my own and go off on my own, actually, the love for it grew more. That's really what got me started.
Absolutely. And so whenever you were fishing with your dad, was it kind of the same in terms of fishing for whatever bites, or was there a particular target species normally, or what did that look like?
Well, when I fished with him, we always did lake fishing. So it was always bass. And when I started fishing like on my own, I started river fishing. And that's really what got me into catching different types of fish. And that's where it started. That's where the addiction started, was the river.
Yeah, those rivers are tough to beat. So, I find myself being drawn more and more to the moving water and the rivers rather than lakes. But I love to break down lakes as well. But there's just something about rivers, and I don't know. It's almost more peaceful than lakes are. Just, I think you get to see more sights, and I always feel like I'm going places maybe that not a lot of other people have gone. Whereas on a lake, there's usually other boats within eye shot, but on a river, a lot of times you feel like you're by yourself, even though I'm sure there's other boats up and down the river.
There's a lot of people.
Yeah,
Sure.
But a lot of times on the rivers, it's, you might not see anybody for quite a while, and then all of a sudden you got some people coming by. But I always like that about the rivers.
Well, we actually have a whitewater course here. So there's people going down the river all the time. It gets a little nuts. The rafters and kayakers kind of bump heads sometimes with the fishing folks, but I kind of stay, in between. I get along with everybody.
That would be something else. Trying to sling like I don't know what kind of weights you're using. Like, I know if I'm fishing in a river for like catfish or something, especially if it's a fast moving river, I may use 10 ounces of lead, and I trying to sling that around whenever you got like a whitewater crew coming through. Might be a little sketchy.
They don't like it too much. But I think they, know I have good aim. I've never had a problem.
Absolutely. So, because I'm going to ask you, are you someone who keeps a life list of species? Like, you keep track of how many species you've caught and always get excited about a new one, or you just go out and you fish and you just enjoy fishing?
Yeah, I get excited really about any fish. I mean, a brim could get on my line and I'm happy, but I don't keep up with it really. I mean, sometimes like at the beginning of the year, I'll be like, oh man, I'm catching like all these different types of fish. But after a while, I just like it, for fun.
That's awesome. That's one thing that tournament fishing took away from me, was the being excited about a fish, no matter what it was that was on your line. Like, I would go out and normally, if I were to catch like a chain pickerel or a bowfin or something, I would be so ecstatic because that's awesome. Like, I love these toothy critters. They're great fighters and everything. But whenever I'm in a bass tournament, I get that and I'm like, gosh, you gotta be kidding me. This isn't my target species. Like it's wasting me time. And I can almost get to the point where I can understand the people calling the fish that you're not targeting trash fish. And that's one of the reasons that I was like, you know what, this just takes the fun out of it for me.
Yeah. I get really happy about any kind of fish. I mean, there's times where it's like, oh man, all these little ones just, like when I was lake fishing, a bunch of little ones would bite all the time, you know. Me and my dad would go and we catch like over 100, and that was just crazy, you know, because it was just so packed with little bitty things. And that's what really like led me to river fishing. Is I was like, this lake fishing is a little bit too easy, you know, when you're fishing like people's private lakes and stuff. And I really wanted to go after something a lot bigger. And the river, you can catch them, you know, some big size fish. So that's what really got me into that.
So what are some of the biggest fish you caught now?
You know, for a while, I did not weigh fish. I didn't know it was even a thing because me and my dad just fished for fun. And so when I started fishing at the river, everyone's like, what's your PB? What's your PB? And I'm like, you know, what are you talking about? I just fish for fun. And so not long ago, I got a scale and I started weighing fish. And my biggest catfish is like 20-something pounds. And that was my first flathead I ever caught. And, yeah, I was shaking when I caught that one. We stayed out on this, it's an abandoned tugboat. I used to sleep on it, and it's on the river. And we would stay out there, and one day I had a worm on the line and a little bitty hook. It was like a little 4.0 H2O hook, and I waited like 3 hours for that thing. And that big 20-something pound flathead bit it, and it was just a worm. It was barely like, it wasn't even hooked in him. It was like in his mouth and on his little gill plate. I was like, I was freaking out. I hopped in my kayak. It was trying to go under the tugboat. But yeah, that was one of my favorite catches, like out of a lot of them that I've caught. But it was a crazy day for sure because it was pouring and we were on this like tugboat where we could have got like electrocuted, you know. And but I guess it was worth it. I guess I'm still alive. If we would have got struck, then it wouldn't have been worth it.
Oh man, that's awesome! Like hearing you say that you don't like until recently you didn't even weigh fish, like just straight up fishing for the joy of fishing is something that we just don't hear much about in the sport anymore. And I know there's a ton of people out there that do it. But you know, we're so obsessed with competing or, you know, trophy hunting or like life listing, like all these different things. There's so many of us, we have this goal that we're out there trying to achieve. And it is so awesome to hear the stories of somebody who their goal whenever they go out is to have fun fishing. That's awesome.
Yeah, it is. I mean, once I did start weighing and people were like, you know, they made it like it was such a big deal, you know, to know. So then I kind of got hooked. Like, I was like, oh my goodness, like I caught like a over 9-pounder. Man, it does. I mean, it's fun weighing them. It is, but it's not something that I've always like really cared to do, you know? Because it's more about just like having fun.
Yeah. And that's kind of what we've been somewhat talking about in our last episodes is just, you know, fishing for the fun of it and not getting caught up in the picture or the posting or the video, which I'm one of the world's worst of, you know, trying to get a good picture when I go and something to post. But, you know, the last few times, I think I may have said it the last episode, but the last few times that I've gone out, especially in saltwater fishing, because I just didn't have a whole lot of time to get prepared, but I didn't take cameras or I did take my phone just to get, a picture of the fish, but not really as much to post as it is to just to have for myself. But really, I've had a whole lot more fun when I'm not trying to make a video and I gotta feel like I've got to catch this or do that or get this shot to make something good, to make it worthwhile, because it was almost like you're not even doing it for the fun of it anymore. So I get exactly what you're saying.
Yeah, and I tell you what, the fish stop biting as soon as you bring the camera out. They just all of a sudden decide they don't want to bite. They're not the only one that's camera shy.
Yeah, they know when you have it on.
For sure. I'm like, what the world? I've been getting all these bites, because normally I won't start videoing until I catch the first fish. And so, yeah. Then after that, it's like downhill from there once I turn the camera on.
That's it. Hey, let that battery run out and you'll be reeling them in there.
I'll tell you. That's how it goes.
Absolutely. So, what has it been like being kind of getting your feet into the industry and being a young woman who I always like to ask, what kind of challenges do you face, and how has the industry kind of treated you, and how what has been the journey? What has the journey been like getting to where you are now?
I mean, it's been easy going, It's just like, I can't complain. I know there's drama and everything, but you really have a choice to if you want to, feed into it or not. I've had people that have said some pretty mean things, like, just people commenting. And I learned that if you just, ignore the hate, they won't bother you. And sometimes they actually delete their comments. So, you just got to do you and keep your head straight and don't let it get to you.
Absolutely. Like attracts like. So put positivity out there.
Yeah, and that's what I'm trying to do, just stay positive and not negative. So a lot of times when people say something, I'll be like, I just ignore it, really.
Absolutely. So, so Robert fiddles on the guitar a little bit, and I'm a bass player, and so I've taken note of the fact that I've started to see a lot more music come out of your side of things. So talk to us about the music side of it a little bit.
All about the music.
What made you decide to start posting it? How did you get the courage to do it? And I mean, I will say this, it is phenomenal. If for no other reason, go check out her stuff just so that you can hear some of that music. It is awesome.
Well, about that. Well, a lot of times I post videos and you'll see my head is cut off. It's because I get so shy about it. And I just started doing this, like a month or two ago, posting. And it was one of my friends. Her name's Amanda. She encouraged me to start posting. I was like, oh my goodness. Like, this makes me really nervous, And so I was like, why not? Why not just do it? And so I started posting, and people have been commenting. And I'm like, I'm no crazy good singer. I just do it for the fun of it. And here lately, I've been, not cropping my head out. But it's really just about, like, this year I've just been trying to push myself. I mean, this year has been a year that I've just been trying to grow as a person. I think, like, just things that I've gone through this year has really put me in a place to grow and press myself. And I'm like, I'm tired of being shy, I'm tired of getting in front of folks and stuttering and getting stuck on one word. And so I'm just like, even with the podcast tonight, I mean, when the thing wasn't working, I was like, oh, thank you, Jesus. I don't. I was like, I don't have to talk. I'm good. But then it worked. So here I am, pressing myself
There you go.
to get out of my shell. I guess there's only one way. Just got to take the bullet.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm stubborn. If you tell me something doesn't work, I'm going to have to fix it. I'm stubborn and I've got a hero complex. So I've got to come in and I've got to fix it.
I was like, this man, he's not giving up. He's like, do this. So I'm like, oh gosh. But I did it.
I'm glad we got it working. So
yeah.
Yeah.
I suppose.
Absolutely. All right. Well, let's dive into your faith a little bit too. What kind of tell us your faith story? What is it you believe in, and how did you come to believe that?
Well, I was actually raised believing, and I've always believed. I've always followed the Lord, and I think this year my faith has really been has grown because of the things that I've gone through. Like, beginning of this year was just the worst year of my life, and just it seemed like one thing after another, and I was like, gee whiz, Lord, And then the other day, like a month or two ago, my truck decided that it did not want to run anymore. Transmission just slipped away, and so I was like, man, what more could happen, I've already been through a lot this year, and this is just small compared to the other stuff. And, well, I just I don't know, on a Tuesday, I was doing my work. I do t-shirts and stuff. And I was doing my work, and I was like, Lord, I'm just so stressed. My truck, I don't have a truck to drive, and so the next day I went to church on a Wednesday, and I was just worshiping the Lord, and I was over there with my eyes closed, and someone came up beside me. And you know how you can feel when someone walks up. I just continued to worship the Lord, and then afterwards I opened my eyes, and it was someone that I hadn't even known that long. And they give me this check. Well, they give me this envelope. I don't know what it is. And they say, I like to take care of the people I trust. And I was like, thank you. And I didn't know, what it was. So I went up to the balcony and I opened it up. And it was $1,000. And I was like, I just started crying like crazy. And I was like, when he said, I like to take care of people that I trust, that really touched my heart, because I was like, this person barely knows me, and it just meant so much that someone would do that for someone they barely know, And so I just start crying like crazy. I'm up in the balcony crying. I'm like, Lord, my truck just is gone. It's a goner. And I just start crying, and I start searching around for a paper so I can write this fella a note. And I find this thing, and I write to him, and he didn't even know that, the problems I was having with my truck or anything. He didn't even know. And so I wrote to him, and I explained to him how I was, how that happened. And it's just crazy how the Lord works. And I feel like through all this, I've been in a God sees me moment, in the hardest year, I felt like giving up. And instead of choosing to give up, I chose to just keep going to church and being around people that love the Lord, and pushing myself to really just go after God. Because, sometimes when you're sad, you just get in this place of you want to start listening to sad songs, and it only makes it worse, And instead of that, I chose, what, I'm going to go to church. I'm going to get around people. And I would message random people, and I'd be like, can I come hang with you, which is so unusual for me because I'm shy little Dakota. And I really just after he did that, it gave me confirmation that the Lord sees me. And it gave me just like, I felt like I've just grown so much. And I think that you just have to choose to be chosen, you know? Like God, he chooses us and he loves us, but he gives us the choice to, you know, choose him if you want to live in his will or not. And so I definitely chose his will, and it has really changed my life, you know, and brought me from the bottom. Because when you're at the bottom, it's like, I was like, Coda, you know, there's like, you can't get any further down than this, you know? So you might as well try everything to get, you know, up from where you're going. And so I did. I stepped out in faith, and God has really like taken care of me. And that's like what I want to be able to preach to people. Like when you're down and out and you feel like there's nothing, you know, there's no hope or nothing, that if you just keep on pressing, then things will happen. And right now, like 2 months ago, my truck went out, and right now I'm sitting in my new truck fully paid off. And it's crazy how the Lord will bless me. Like different people bless me with money, and now I'm just like, it's crazy, you know? Yep, that's my story.
That is awesome. Something that you said that really stuck with me is, so many people, you know, whenever they get a blessing like that, they feel embarrassed. They feel the need to turn it down. They feel like, oh no, you're doing too much. Like, I feel guilty if you give that to me. But to get a blessing like that, and like what you get out of it is God sees me. That will preach right there. That's something that like whenever I do these podcasts, a lot of times it's hard for me to not hear the stories that I'm given through the lens of a youth pastor, because I was that was my form of ministry for a few years. And like whenever I hear something like that, I'm like, that's the kind of thing I could go and I could do like a whole like sermon series off of. That's awesome. That's powerful. That's powerful.
Well, I didn't stutter through that whole thing. We're good.
Yeah, I told you were going to be fine. And then that's your next T-shirt too, because he got something out of it, and I wrote down something else. It was choose to be chosen. And you know, so when you're printing your T-shirts, you make you up a design and put that on there. I'd buy one of them.
Oh, yeah.
I think that's a very poignant thing to say and to get out of that. And, you know, I don't even know how long I've been. So Cam started this podcast by himself before me, and then I came along a few years later. But we're now in the second or the third year of me being here, a couple anyway.
2.5 at least.
2.5, so third year. And I swear that you never can wrap your arms around what's going to come out of our guest's mouth. And you know, we not too long ago were contemplating, you know, we had a break, and are we going to keep doing this or whatever? And just the things that we hear people say and the stories that we hear and are able to, you know, put that out where other people can draw from it and hear that is it's just amazing to me. So you know,
a lot of times I don't even know what's going to come out of my mouth. But I was like, tonight I was praying, I was in my car, and I was listening to worship music, and I was like, Lord, just like lead me where you want me to, you know, go with this, because, you know, I'm just a shy girl, and I get nervous, and I just was like, Lord, you know, just lead me where you want me to, because I want to be able to, you know, inspire other people to keep on going.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Well, anybody that listens to that story will be inspired. So
For sure. It's funny. Robert said T-shirt idea, choose to be chosen. I wrote down T-shirt idea. Gee whiz, Lord.
My friends always make fun of me when I say gee whiz. They think I'm like a grandma.
That is awesome. That's a really good quote right there. I like that one.
Which one, the gee whiz, Lord?
Well, I mean, all of them, but yeah, the Gee Whiz Lord that one's up there for me in terms of my favorites.
it could be your next song title too.
There you go.
Who's writing it, me or y'all? Y'all write it and I'll sing it, okay?
No, it'd be better than you writing it and us singing. I can promise you that.
Well, you know what? That actually sounds like a better idea.
No, it doesn't. Oh man, I'm not a great singer, but I'm not a good songwriter either. Now you give me a song that's already been written, I can put a solid bass line to it, but yeah, I'm not a not a lyricist, that's for sure.
I love writing. Most of the time I like to freestyle, but I'm still trying to, like, they've been trying to get me to sing at the church forever. And I just can't do it. I have the stage fright. I have the people fright. But, maybe we'll get there one day. One step at a time.
Yeah, I whenever I was playing pretty regularly, one of the guys in the band looked at me and said, "You remember when we got nervous before every show?" I looked at him and I said, "You're not nervous?"
My heart starts beating hard. I used to play drums with my sister, but you can hide, behind a drum cage, so that's a little different. But singing, I'll tell you, I just can't do it.
That's awesome.
Well, maybe you have to start playing the drums and then just put the mic back there, sing from behind the drums, and then move up front.
Hey, you're wanting me to get off beat.
I've seen a lot of drummers who can do that, and I've never understood how.
I don't know if I've ever tried that. I don't think so.
I mean, you got one hand keeping the beat. You got one foot doing like 1, 2, 3, and then you got another one that's like every so often lifting up, and then you got the other hand that's hitting on the snare, and you're gonna sing at the same time. That's just insane to me.
I can sing with, like, if I'm playing my cajon, little box drum.
Oh yeah.
I can sing them, but that's a little bit different. You don't have too much going on.
All right. Awesome. All right. Well, there are a couple questions that we ask everybody, and we are going to get those. I tried switching it up.
I got them now.
You got them now?
Yeah. I mean, I had them then. I just didn't know I had it.
Well, I'll let Robert. We'll switch it up, and I'll let Robert do it this time.
Oh Lord.
We just have a certain order that we always do the questions, and he switched it up last week, and I didn't realize I had them wrote down. So I told him he's going to have to not switch it up because I didn't know what his question was. But,
when someone texts and says, "I got a question," and you just get super nervous. Well, let me know what they are. Go ahead.
All right. So when you're out fishing, what's your favorite fishing story or your favorite memory from fishing?
That's a good question. I mean, so many great memories. I mean, I don't think there's any bad memories fishing. But one time I was in my kayak and I was throwing a Alabama rig, and the water is just going wild because, we have the thing that the water releases, and it starts releasing. The sirens go off. I'm like, oh my goodness. I'm reeling in, and 2 fish hit at one time. I'm telling you, it felt like the biggest thing ever. And they were like over, like together, they were like over 15 pounds. But it was two hybrids. And they're pulling like crazy. The water's coming so fast. And I was freaking out. I was like, oh my goodness. Because when that current starts going, it gets wild. Like, I've tried to camp out there before. And they were letting out so many units that night. We had to jump into the kayak, me and my dog. Because I was going to sleep there. And I was reeling in. I was like, what is this? This feels like something big, you know? And I pull it into the boat. I have my dog in the kayak with me. Her name's Travel. And I pull it into the boat, and it's two bass, and I'm freaking out. I'm like, what the world? I've never had this happen. And so I start, my friend's over on the island, because there's like these little islands in the river. And I'm trying to get over there because the current's pushing me and stuff. And I get over to the edge. And I'm like, look. And I was freaking out so much. I was so happy. And I was like, oh, my gosh, what a day to be alive. Because they were huge. I only weighed like one of them. And it was a good bit. I think it was like 8-something, you know, which is decent for our river. That's not like too big. But and the other one was pretty big, too. It was like over 15 pounds together. But that was
That's
fun.
awesome.
Nice.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
If you're fishing near one of the spillways like that, if you have a safe place to do it and you hear those sirens go off, you know that the predator fish are going to be, they know what that sound means. It's,
Oh, yeah,
it's
they go
feeding time. The
crazy.
conveyor belt is getting ready to be bringing a bunch of food to my mouth, and they're going to be on it.
Oh, yeah, we have like a bunch of shad that run during the spring. And everybody lines up on the side of the water. It's really crazy. People are crossing lines every which way. And so I fish a lot from my kayak, so I don't have to worry about it as much. But, man, the lures you can find in that water. I find, like, such expensive lures. I'm like, what the world are they using these things? Like, I just get them, and then I just resell them on eBay.
There you go.
That's awesome. Yeah, the shad run is back in my hometown. It's pretty big there, and I know in Grifton they have the Shad Festival. They have a whole festival based off the shad run. But yet I have not caught an American or hickory shad.
Really?
I've never been there at the right time. Every time I've tried to fish for them, they've either been late or early, and I've missed them. But yeah. So other question that we ask everybody. Whenever I first started the podcast, I asked one of my fishing buddies. I was like, "Hey, I need a question you've never heard anyone ask on a fishing podcast before." And he said, he came up with this one. Whenever you're out fishing with somebody, what's your typical conversation centered around?
Well, our conversation, you know, we don't do much talking. We do more reeling. Really,
There's another T-shirt.
There'll be a couple words here and there, but, you know, when you're reeling in that fish, it's just like you focus on that, you know. And, I mean, there will be, yeah, I guess we'll be talking about who's catching the most fish if we do talk.
We've had a lot of answers to that question, but I don't know that we've ever had, we catch too many fish. We're too busy catching fish. We don't get to talk.
I mean, some days, you know, it's just like really slow and we won't be catching at all. But still, I mean, you don't really want to talk when your heart's breaking.
There you go.
That's
One of my friends, actually, we went frog gigging one night, and oh my gosh, he came from Texas, and I'd never been frog gigging, but I said, I'll take you frog gigging. And so I looked it up on YouTube, and we went out there and we did it, and I was so sad. I felt so much sadness in my heart. He was like, you need a hug. He saw how sad I was. I was like, I'm okay, but man, it really broke my heart. Because I never
from YouTube now.
I never you know, keep fish really. And my family, they'll be like, bring us home some fish. And I'll be like, I I'm going to bring it home with an aerator, and the blood can be on your hands because I don't want to kill it, which I think is great, to keep fish. But honestly, I think I have a fish allergy because sometimes and people are like, why are you wearing gloves and stuff? And I've got a lot of hate about my little glove wearing. But yeah, I do think I have a little bit of an allergy to certain fish, which is great because I'm a fisher.
Yeah, that's a new one to me, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah. All right. Well, we are gonna jump into our "What's Your Favorite" segment now. We do it with everybody, and it's self-explanatory. We're gonna ask you your favorite in a few categories, and we will get it started right after this. Mr. B Lure Company has every wired or skirted bait you could ask for, and they're made right here in the U.S. with high-quality components like Gamakatsu and owner hooks, and hand-tied skirts in more colors than you can fit in your tackle box, including the Battle Shack color, which sends 30% of the proceeds to the Wounded Warrior Project. Check out their line of classics like Arky jigs, swim jigs, and spinner baits, and new favorites like underspins, underswims, and some of the most unique bladed jigs on the market. Head on over to MrBLureCompany.com, that's MRBLureCompany.com, and use promo code faithnfishn, just like our Instagram handle, for 15% off your first purchase.
It's time for What's Your Favorite, powered by Nakwa Adventure Gear. Power that fits in the palm of your hand.
All right. So for What's Your Favorite, our first one, what is your favorite scripture?
My favorite scripture. I do have. I'm trying to think of it. I think it's Isaiah 20 verse 9, if that's the right one. It's like something about his word burns in my heart like a fire. Y'all know what I'm talking about?
Vaguely. Let's see.
I should have it in my head, but no one's asked me in a while.
Let's see, Isaiah 29. Let's see, you said your word burns
in my heart like a fire.
Jeremiah 29.
Jeremiah. Yeah, that would be my favorite. Even though I should probably memorize it a little bit better.
No, you got the important part.
That's it. My favorites all get jumbled up and what verse is what. So I'm right there with you. The next one is, what is your favorite Bible story?
My favorite Bible story. Let's see. I don't know if I even have a favorite, really. I couldn't even answer that, what my favorite is. I guess all the good ones. Jonah and the whale.
There you go.
All right. That's
all the good ones.
All the good ones.
Yeah.
Awesome. So what is your favorite fish to catch?
My favorite fish. That's a hard one. Saltwater or freshwater?
Either. Do one of each if you want to.
Well, saltwater would be red drum. Freshwater would probably be striped bass. Just because it's such a popular thing where I'm at, you know? And there's nothing like that pool. I think it's more of a local thing because it's like I love my hometown and that's the most popular fish to catch here. And so I think it just has to do with, you know, where I'm from. But really, okay. I'll take any type of fish.
So are your striped bass more reservoir based, or are they the ones that come in from the ocean into the rivers?
No, because our water's closed off, so
Okay.
they usually stock them, but I don't know if they're stocking them anymore. So they stay downriver, like all other parts of the year, and then during the springtime they swim up towards the rapids to spawn. And you
Okay.
can see like in the Gardu too. And you can see like the little fish eggs everywhere. It's nuts. I actually have a video of it on my TikTok. And it's just everywhere. It's crazy.
Okay. That's interesting. So in North Carolina, our what is it? Is it analogous species, the striped bass that come in from the ocean to spawn in the rivers. Our ours are not doing well. I would say we talked a little bit about it last week with Corey. He's our one of our fisheries biologists. But I wonder if I was just curious if y'all's was also doing poorly, if it was the from the ocean side, but if it's kind of a contained ecosystem, they seem to be doing okay. But yeah,
Well, this year has actually been the roughest year, really. Like usually the shad will swim upriver, and then after that you'll see like the gar. Then after that you'll see like the stripe and hybrid come up. But for some reason this year we were having like it kept flooding, and so the shad weren't making it up, or they would be like really deep, And we've had a lot of E. coli problems this year, and I don't know. It's weird. Like I've seen fish floating and stuff. I don't know what's going on. It's really weird.
Okay. You ever target the gar?
Oh yeah, I love catching gar for sure. They'll chase anything really. The hardest part is hooking them, but I like to use what is it called? Strike King hooks, and those work pretty good for the gar.
Okay.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people. I've never actually caught one, but I know a lot of people will use like a spinner bait that doesn't have a hook on it. They just use yarn, and the teeth get caught in the yarn and they can't get loose.
Oh yeah. Well, you can use rope and you just shrivel it up. I don't like doing that way because it gets so stuck in their teeth and I just feel so bad for it. But and you have to pick it out, before you put them back in, and their teeth are so sharp, so it's pretty scary. But one day my friend was trying to catch one, and I was like, he had never caught one. I was like, I can put you on one today. So, because we have so many, it's crazy. And so I brought a rope lure for him, and he caught one that day. But I don't use them personally. I like catching them on artificial lures with just like a big old jig head, like a 2-ounce jig head.
Okay.
Yep.
It's interesting. Your water sounds so much like the Neuse going through Kinston.
The what?
The Neuse River going through Kinston.
I don't even know where that is. Eastern
North Carolina.
Oh, okay. I went fishing in North Carolina the other day for trout. It's pretty sad what they are going through right now.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So you got your favorite fish to fish for. Now, what about the chess match of making them bite? Would that change it? Like, so your favorite fish to trick into biting?
What's my favorite fish to trick into biting?
Yep.
Striped bass. Yep, definitely striped bass. But right now, this year, I started teaching a kids class. There's a place called Freedom Farm where they help out like families and stuff, and they help out. They like taking kids while their parents get back on their feet, and then they like help restore, the family, and then put the children back with them. They have a after-school program that they've been asking me to teach. And, it took me a bit to say yes. And I was down at the lake. They have a church lake. I was down at the lake one day, and I was just sitting there, and this little kid came up. Well, he's not a kid. He's actually a teenager. He came up talking to me, and we were talking for a while. And come to find out, he's one of the people that go to our church. He's one of the kids that they took in. And I was like, just after talking to him and stuff, I was like, this is how, I'm going to heal. It's weird to say, you're helping kids and stuff, their whole mission is to help them. But it's like when you help people, you feel like, man, this is going to help me also, get through things that I'm going through. And, but anyways, they have this little after school program, and they've been asking me to teach it. And I finally said yes. And so I've been working with them lately, trying to teach them how to fish and stuff, and different ways of catching fish, and how to target, certain types of fish, the way you reel and whatnot. So it's definitely been something new.
That's awesome. Whenever we are done with this interview, if you wouldn't mind shooting me the information for Freedom Farm so I can add the links to the show notes here.
Yeah, they have a lot that they do. They have tiny houses and stuff where they take in families and help them, and then the church has different families that they take in, foster kids and stuff. And it's really cool. I'll have to send you the link so you can check it out.
Absolutely, and I'll share those links in the show notes as well. All right, so this next question, I think, is a little weird to ask now after some of the things that have already been said in the conversation. But if there is one that is not going to make you sick or break out or anything, what's your favorite fish to eat?
Catfish. There's only certain fish that causes me to break out, and that is sometimes stripe. And it could just be our water. We do have a problem at the Chattahoochee, but it's been happening for years. But striped bass and hybrid, that's what I think I'm allergic to. But catfish, definitely. Other than that, I don't really like a whole lot of fish.
Okay.
There you go. Now we're going to stay in the food category. What's your favorite fishing snack?
Fishing snack. I've brought meals out there, y'all. I've taken my grill out there. I'll take my grill out there and grill some burgers or some tacos. Not grill tacos, but I have the little wand. Is that what it's called? Wand? And you flip the pan over, put the meat in, and I'll make tacos. That would be my favorite.
Huh. I need to go fishing with you.
Yeah, I'll make you some tacos.
Awesome. All right. So we don't need secret spots or GPS coordinates, anything like that. But what's your favorite body of water to fish?
The Chattahoochee River.
Way down yonder on the Chattahoochee.
Way down yonder, you can find Co just out there fishing.
I kind of thought that might be the answer to that one.
Me too.
How'd you know?
Yeah. Well, when you're out there, what about your favorite lure? What's your favorite lure to throw?
My favorite lure? Well, the Alabama rig. I love the Alabama rig, but also I love paddle tails and swim baits. Those are my 3 favorite things.
All right. Does how many hooks does Georgia let you have? On an Alabama rig?
We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Well, the ones we have has 5 hooks, but I really don't know. Georgia seems pretty easy going around here. I've never heard anything that I've never heard anything. They might track me down after this.
Nah.
No, but everybody uses Alabama rigs, so I know if everybody uses them, then
yeah.
it's most likely okay.
For sure.
There you go.
Fingers crossed.
We won't tell anybody.
That's right.
Well.
Let's see, that's
Is that all your questions?
no, we've got at least one more. Do we have two more?
One more.
One more. All right. So last but not least, what's your favorite time of year to fish?
My favorite time? I think would have to be, which a lot of people don't like this, but I love the summer. I love the summer and being out there in the heat, like 90 degrees. Because I can hop in the water and swim, or I like stand in the water and fish. Yeah, I think it would have to be summer.
Awesome.
Absolutely. All right. Well, we're going to start wrapping things up. If you would, let us know what you've got coming up next for you and for Heart of Exploring.
Well, I really hope that I have some fish on my line coming up next. Fingers crossed. That's all I can hope. But other than that, I'm just kind of going with the flow, doing my own thing, and see where it goes from there. Seeing what the Lord has for me.
Absolutely. And if our listeners want to follow along with your adventures, how do they find you? Social media, YouTube, all that good stuff.
Well, TikTok, YouTube, and Instagram. My thing is called Heart of Exploring. And if you want to find me on Facebook, where I do really the most on Facebook, it's just Dakota Laren. Dakota, Laren.
All right. And I'm going to give you an open floor to shout out any sponsors, supporters, anybody you want to say thank you to or give shout outs to. The floor is yours.
Shout out to my family, including the Robins, and shout out to Tom, my little bro. He wanted me to say something. And Feel Free Kayaks. That's about it.
Awesome. Well, Dakota, thank you so much for coming on the show. I would expect you to get an invite again at some point. But yeah, thank you so much. We've had a blast. This has been a great one.
Yep, that's a good one. Thank you so much.
I appreciate y'all.
Awesome.
Few things ruin your day on the water as bad as losing gear. But with the retrieval devices for fishing rods, action cams, bow fishing bows, and more from Save Your Outdoors, you don't have to let dropping your stuff ruin your day because you can get it back. The pressure-sensitive filter keeps water from rain and quick dips in the water out, but it lets water in when your gear goes overboard to release a float attached to your gear by 60 feet of line so you can get it back. Go to SaveYourOutdoors.com to learn more and try some for yourself, and use promo code FNFP15 to save 15% on your order. That's SaveYourOutdoors.com and promo code FNFP15. If finesse fishing is your comfort zone, something you want to learn better this year, or just something you like to tie on as a Hail Mary pass, Jade's Jigs has everything you need and more, and it's all eco-friendly and lead-free. With an awesome selection of baits and colors, they've got a variety of techniques covered for you. Finesse jigs, underspins, Nico weights, Ned rigs, and more are all waiting for you at jadesjigs.com. And while you're there, use promo code FNF10 for 10% off your purchase. That's jadesjigs.com and promo code FNF10 for 10% off. Another huge thank you to Dakota for coming on the show and sharing her story with us. Those links will be in the show notes so that you can find her and follow along. Robert, that was, she told us that it was probably going to be a short one, and she almost hit an hour by herself.
That's it. Yeah, I knew she'd be fine, and that was really good. And she said she was kind of quiet, shy. I don't know if I'm going to have a lot to talk about, but she did awesome, and it was a really good show. And like I said earlier, you just never know what you're going to get when you tune in, and what story you're going to hear, and what motivation that you're going to pull from it. And tonight's show was a great example of that.
Absolutely. I haven't written this much down on my pad in a long time. So.
Yeah. That's kind of the other thing is, she's talking about helping them, and it helps you, and doing the podcast is, getting people's message out helps me and you as much as anybody. So
absolutely.
That's why we do what we do. So that was a good one.
Absolutely. Well, Robert, you want to go ahead and close us out in prayer, man?
Sure. Let's do it. Dear Lord in heaven, thank you for this day. Thank you for allowing us to speak with Dakota, get her message out. Please watch over her as she's doing her adventures and getting her message out. Please continue to help the people that are recovering from Hurricane Helene and Hurricane Milton, and give us the strength and energy to let our words and actions be pleasing to you and draw people closer to you. Forgive us of our sins. In Jesus Christ's name we pray. Amen.
Amen. All right. Well, that is going to do it for this episode. Y'all take care and God bless.
See you guys.
Thank you for listening to the Faith and Fishing podcast. Please consider supporting those that support us. Jade's Jigs lead-free finesse tackle. Use promo code FNF10 at jadesjigs.com for 10% off. Save your outdoors. Stop losing your gear. Use promo code FNFP15 at saveyouroutdoors.com for 15% off. Omnia Fishing. Check out Premium, Premium Pro, and their Ambassador program. Use promo code FNF10 for 10% off at omniafishing.com. And if it's your first order, use promo code FNF15 for 15% instead. Mr. B Lure Company. High-quality handmade baits made right here in the U.S. MrBLureCompany.com. Use promo code faithnfishn for 15% off your first purchase. Get outdoors, pedal, and paddle. Check them out at the shop in Greensboro, North Carolina, or at shopgetoutdoors.com for all your paddling and cycling needs. And Nakwa Adventure Gear, lighting, power, and all the connectors at nakwa.com. Please rate, review, subscribe on whatever app you're listening on. That's going to do it for this episode. Y'all take care and God bless.